Our first speaker is Sandra Chuma, and she is the founder and chief storyteller at Ndini Media. Welcome, Sandra.
I am a woman. I am a Black woman. I am a Black African woman. None of these are labels that I had any choice in. They were labels that were assigned to me. They're labels that I have given meaning, but that the world has also given meaning. And so from a young age, when you are told who you are and who you are not, regardless of what you do in life, that belief remains in you. It becomes part of your psyche. It becomes your mindset. It becomes a self-fulfilling belief, because whether you like it or not, you will rise to the level of expectation. The American sociologist Charles Horton Cooley said, "Today, I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am." I'll say that again. He said, "I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am." And so we go through life with a perception of reality. We go through life being told who we are, who we should be, what we should do in the world. And rarely do we ever take the time to stop and think, who do I say I am? Who am I? What is my belief about myself? I am a storyteller. And if you'll indulge me, I'd like to start by telling you my story. The story of how today on International Women's Day, I get to stand in this moment on this stage. I was born in Zimbabwe, but to be factually correct, I was actually born in Rhodesia. I was born in a country that was segregated, a country that had whites-only hospitals, blacks-only hospitals, whites-only schools, blacks-only schools, whites-only neighborhoods, blacks-only neighborhoods. And based on the constitution of my country, it told me that I was not worthy to go to the same school as white children. It told me that I could not drink from the same water fountain as white children. And it told me that I couldn't even use the same washroom as white children. It told me that I was less than. Apart from my parents, the most influential people on my life were my two grandmothers, my maternal grandmother, Chengeto, and my paternal grandmother, Esther. My maternal grandmother, Chengeto, worked as a housemaid. She worked in a house in one of those whites-only neighborhoods that I mentioned earlier. She worked for a white family there. And even though my grandmother was incredibly smart, she never got the chance at an education. And so you can imagine when I arrived in the world, her dream for me was that I, her first grandchild, would have the chance of an education. She dreamed that I, maybe one day, would be able to go to those whites-only schools that the children she looked after went to. She dreamed that maybe one day I would live in a big house in a tree-lined neighborhood like the one that she worked in. She also had an even more audacious dream. She dreamt that maybe one day I would go to this place she'd only ever heard of that was called overseas. Now, bear in mind, my grandmother had never been on an airplane. She'd probably never seen an airplane in real life. But she dreamt that one day I would go to this faraway place called overseas, where there were limitless opportunities for education, where I would be treated as an equal. My paternal grandmother, Esther, also was never educated. She was married young, and unfortunately, my grandfather died before my father, her first child, was even born. And so she was left with the challenging task of raising a young son on her own. And so like my grandmother Chengeto, my grandmother Esther also had big dreams, dreams that she could never have dreamt for herself. She dreamt that I would go to school. She dreamt that I would live in a big house, because apparently big houses were a thing for our family. And she also taught me many lessons. She taught me of resilience. She taught me persistence. I will never forget her excitedly coming to tell me when I was in about the 7th grade, and she was probably in her late 50s. And she was excited to tell me that she had finally signed up for an adult learning course, and that finally in her late 50s, she was going to learn to read and write. These amazing women and their belief in me and the belief that they instilled in terms of what I could do, what was achievable for me, even though they couldn't achieve it, are the reason that I can stand here today and speak their names on International Women's Day. I am their wildest dream. I stand here and I represent my grandmother Chengeto and my grandmother Esther's hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Now I tell you this not because I want you to feel sorry for me, quite the contrary. I tell you this because I want you to know the power of belief, the power of instilling in others and in yourself, belief in what is possible. Believe in what is possible for you, for your life, beyond what you have achieved so far. I stand here, and as we said, today's event is about moving from talk to walk. And I challenge each one of you. I ask each one of you, have you taken a moment to think about the labels that you wear, to think about the labels that you have assigned yourself? What is your I am? What is your greatest belief about yourself? And how are you going to use that to make the world a better place? Well, you ask, well, I'm just one person here in Kitchener. What can I possibly do to make the world a better place? Well, as Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. Each one of us has the power to effect change. Each one of us is incredibly powerful, and that change starts within yourself. That change starts with what you tell yourself is possible for your own life. One of the most profound statements that I've ever heard actually comes from a pop song. It's by Michael Jackson, the late Michael Jackson. And he said, and I'm going to slightly change up the lyrics since it is International Women's Day. He said, I'm looking at the woman in the mirror. I'm asking her to change her ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, look at yourself and make that change.